Gangsters are members of criminal organizations known for their illegal activities, particularly drug smuggling, gambling, prostitution rings, and murder. For decades, these groups have been active in several countries, especially in Europe, Asia, the United States, and Latin America. The American Mafia originated in Sicily, Italy, and it came to power during the Prohibition. The American Mafia operations flourished majorly in Chicago and New York. Most gangsters became famous for the severity of their crimes, the drugs, fortunes they accumulated, and their ruthless murders, which often occurred in broad daylight. When the Mafia reigned in society, both in America and Italy, and was a staple of media headlines, high-profile killings were common and equally as graphic. After the 1930s, organized crime went from being represented by the activities of small traveling groups of racketeers to a business run by bosses who were feared for their cruelty. Bonnie and Clyde were quickly replaced by criminal overlords, and bank robbery was replaced by the theft from citizens through loans, gambling, drugs, prostitution, and corporate and trade union corruption. We have decided to make a small list of the most powerful gangsters in the long history of organized crime. The characters on this list are from various countries across continents and have been ranked by how powerful they were in their time and in relation to other powerful gangsters in other periods. What they all have in common is that they were all ruthless drug traffickers and crime lords who committed some of the most inhumane crimes. Frank Lucas found his way to Harlem, New York from North Carolina, where he was born, and under the mentorship of Harlem mob boss Bumpy Johnson, Lucas became a powerful drug kingpin in Harlem through the 1960s and 70s. He sold heroin and made a lot of money by cutting out the middleman and buying straight from his suppliers in Southeast Asia. What makes Lucas special is that he was black, extremely rich, and a powerful kingpin, which was practically unheard of around that time. By the 1970s, Lucas was raking in about $1 million a day from heroin. He was living a flamboyant lifestyle, which soon caught the eye of authorities. The police raided his New Jersey house in 1975, and Lucas was arrested and convicted of drug charges on both the federal and state level, and given a 70-year prison sentence. But after serving 5 years, Lucas was released for cooperating as a state witness on drug cases. The 2007 film American Gangster, starring Denzel Washington as Frank Lucas, was based on his life. Lucas died in 2019 of natural causes at the age of 88. Al Capone was the most powerful mob boss in Chicago from 1925 to 1931. Born in Brooklyn, New York in 1899, Capone joined the James Street Boys gang during his youth. It was there he met his mentor, Johnny Torrio, whom he followed to Chicago and eventually helped run his bootlegging business. His notorious use of extreme violence to hold on to his power, coupled with the public execution of his rivals in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929, made him infamous and earned him the unwanted label Public Enemy Number 1. After the incident, public pressure mounted on the government, demanding that Al Capone be put behind bars. Soon enough, the government sent him to prison for tax evasion in 1931. He was sentenced to 11 years, of which he served 8. Capone suffered a stroke and then died of a heart attack in 1947. John Gotti was called the Dapper Don because of his love for fine suits and media coverage. He became the most powerful mob boss in America during the 1980s. Born in 1940 in Queens, New York, Gotti was infamous for his temperament. This temperament came to a head after he ordered a hit on his Gambino crime boss, Paul Castellano, in 1985. Gotti subsequently took over the Gambino crime enterprise and made millions in various criminal activities, from loan sharking and prostitution to illegal gambling to narcotics distribution. Although he was able to avoid prison multiple times throughout the 1980s, earning the nickname Teflon Don, the feds continued to build a case against him. With the help of Gotti's second-in-command, Salvatore "Sammy the Bull" Gravano, Gotti was finally imprisoned in 1992 for a number of crimes, including 5 counts of murder, one of them being Paul Castellano, his former boss, tax evasion, and racketeering. He died in 2002 of throat cancer in a Missouri federal prison. Charles Lucky Luciano was powerful. He was, with Meyer Lansky, the original inventor of the Commission of the Five Families. He also helped found the infamous National Crime Syndicate. Charlie Luciano was one of the most prominent mobsters of the 1930s. Luciano was not the first person to organize the Five Families. Salvatore Maranzano did. But after placing Luciano at the head of one of the Five Families, Luciano had him killed. He is considered the mastermind behind modern organized crime in America due to his establishment of its governing body, the Commission, in 1931. During that decade, Luciano became the most powerful mob boss as head of the Genovese crime family. After pursuing Luciano for years, District Attorney Thomas E. Dewey finally locked him up for his prostitution business in 1936. Serving a minimum 30-year sentence, Luciano still ran his New York and New Jersey gangs from prison. He shortened his prison time by aiding the U.S. Navy's security measures during World War II when they tried to conquer Italy. In 1946, Luciano was deported back to Italy, where he managed to run his drug operations in the United States. In 1962, he died from a heart attack while at an airport in Naples. At the top of our list is Pablo Escobar. He was born December 1, 1949, in Antioquia, Colombia. Escobar was a founding member of the Medellin cartel, the most powerful drug cartels in all of Colombian history. At a time, Escobar controlled over 80% of the cocaine that was smuggled into the United States. Born into a poor family, Escobar started his criminal career early by stealing and selling tombstones. By the 1970s, he got involved with cocaine. In partnership with 5 other illegal business owners, Escobar formed the Medellin cartel. According to Fortune and Forbes magazines, Escobar came in as number 7 on their list of the 10 richest people on Earth on multiple occasions, yet they couldn't completely estimate his wealth. At one point, it was said he offered to pay off Colombia's national debt, estimated at $10 billion. Unfortunately, his ambition brought an early death to many that threatened to get in his way, including at least 3 Colombian presidential candidates, thousands of law enforcement personnel, attorney generals, judges, and even journalists. Escobar is estimated to have had around 4,000 people murdered. He attempted to lobby for a no extradition clause and generous amnesty to drug lords if they agreed to give up drug trafficking. This makes sense, as by this point, he had distanced himself from the trade, instead choosing to impose a so-called tax on those trafficking directly. His fortune was estimated to be over $30 billion. He built a prison for himself to avoid extradition, but after a year, when the government found out he was still running his organization and tried to extradite him to the United States, Escobar escaped and was on the run again. He was finally shot to death by the Colombian police in 1993. With Pablo Escobar, the list closes rather strongly. Today, there are more complexly organized criminal organizations, but their leaders lack the power and influence that the figures on this list had. Authorities have also gotten more sophisticated over time, and it isn't as easy now as it was to be a gangster. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, we would appreciate it if you could leave a comment in the comment section below about who you think the most powerful gangster was. It is okay if you don't agree with the list.